Hello and welcome, cool cats, to BL 172.9. If you've been part-time dreaming and scheming a plan for your great escape, then grab you a plate because we're serving some smooth, creative hits that'll make you want to quit that 9 to 5 job. Now sit back, relax, and you'll see you are traveling first class to where the part-time dreamers be. Hello, everybody, and welcome to my new podcast titled Part-Time Dreamer. I will be your host, and my name is B. Lede. Thanks for tuning in to my very first episode. What an intro, right? You know, I've always admired those disc jockeys that used to be on the smooth jazz stations. Their voices were so calming and serene. It was like sitting in front of a fireplace on a cold day. Just voices like silk. And I did try to replicate that.
You people think about that! E for effort!
But just know your girl tried. All right, so this podcast is actually going to be an extension of my No Bake Motivate YouTube channel. Now, my No Bake Motivate YouTube channel is about me providing support, encouragement, and motivation to anyone who has anything that they're trying to pursue in their life, if they have goals that they're setting for themselves, or if they just feel like they have a higher purpose and they're trying to work through the nitty-gritty of how to get to where they want to be, or, you know, where they're, what's going to make them the most happiest in life. And that is what the No Bake Motivate YouTube channel is about. And so now I've created Part-Time Dreamer, which will be a version of it, but more on the personal ends of things. So in today's episode, we're going to discuss what a part-time dreamer is, what inspired me to make this podcast, and what the podcast is about. So let's get right into it. Okay, guys, so first things first, I am B. Lede, and I am a part-time dreamer. Aww. I know. It's hard to admit, but there it is. So I bet you're wondering, what is my dream? My dream is to be a filmmaker. I want to direct, write scripts, produce, and act. It's been my dream to act since I was a wee little one in 6th grade. And it wasn't until around 2015 when I had made a goal to make my short film no matter what. And I had ended up finishing that short film. It was towards the beginning of 2016. That's when I started to get into more of the behind the scenes of it. Because initially I got started with just wanting to, be an actress. But I'm going to save that whole discussion about my short film for a whole nother episode. So we will definitely get back to that later, where I'm going to discuss my experience of me making my short film from the perspective who had no connections and no experience and who just went for it, okay? All right, so let me tell you what a part-time dreamer is. Since I've told you my dream. My definition of part-time dreamer is someone who is trying to balance a regular 9 to 5 job while still trying to pursue whatever they want to do part-time. Whether you want to be a musician or you're just a creative, or you're an artist. I want to say this is mostly geared towards people in the creative field, because normally when you are creative, you're never going to make money off the bat. So you have to work a normal job to still be able to pay your bills in the meantime, because you can't live off your dreams, okay? Your dreams ain't writing you a check, okay? And so I coined this phrase for myself when I'd actually created my YouTube channel. And I had realized at that point in my life, which is only about a year ago, because I created the YouTube at the beginning of this year. And I realized that I liked encouraging people to go for their dreams. Now, at the same time, I was still trying to figure out where I was trying to go with my own dream. But I knew that I loved encouraging other people. So I figured, why not create a YouTube channel where I literally motivate people to follow their dreams? And then in the process, I could be motivating myself, because I'm holding myself accountable for once in my life. Okay, I always hold myself accountable, but as far as following my dreams, there's been a lack thereof, but we're going to get to that as well. So I created the YouTube channel to try to motivate people, motivate myself. And then I discovered a hard truth as to why I wasn't further in my life. I don't know. Can you guess? Do you think you have an idea of what it could be? Okay, I'll just go ahead and tell you. So I realized that all of my life, or my adult life outside of high school, that I've been pursuing my career part-time, hence the partly doing my creative stuff versus, me working a full-time job. And then I realized I haven't even been part-time working. It's been more on like a volunteer basis or something, And, and I just know that because I haven't been putting in the work that is required, that is why I'm standing where I am today. I'm standing in the same place I was however many years ago, and I haven't really moved. I maybe walked like a mile or two, and then would stop and just be like, just getting really caught up in the day-to-day routine and just losing track of my purpose and where I want to be. And so I recently came to a come to Jesus meeting about where I was wanting to go with this, because ultimately I know it's my dream to be a filmmaker and to do something that's bigger than what I'm doing as of right now. The mundane life, it's not for me. I'm constantly thinking of ways of how I can get out or what I can do to be creative that's going to possibly get me to where I'm getting those paying gigs. And so with this come to Jesus meeting, and also help from my therapist, yes, I did go to a therapist, which actually has helped me with my once murky mind that has now been cleared. And I actually have a plan of action on how I want to achieve my dream, which is currently now in full effect. I know. I'm so proud of me. So with me coming into this plan, I have realized that I'm a creative. I mean, yes, I specifically want to be a filmmaker, but I am a creative being by nature. I love creating. I love talking about my ideas. I thrive off of being creative. And I realized whenever I'm not creating, that is where I'm at my lowest. And when I create, that is when I'm at my highest of high. And it makes me feel so good, and it makes me feel so positive, and it just changes my perspective of the world. When I'm in creative mode, or when I'm thinking of ideas, I can't even describe the feeling. It's magical. I feel as though I could levitate something. I could cure something in this world. Like, it's undescribable. And if you are creative as well, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or maybe you don't. And maybe I'm just crazy, but I don't know. But I just feel so overwhelmed with joy and just positivity. And it's the greatest feeling in the world. And then when I'm on this high and I'm having fun and it's making me happy, I also have a bad side to it, or there's another side to it. So even though I am this creative and I love creating, at the same time, I can procrastinate. And man, to all my procrastinators out there, you know what I'm talking about. It's so weird because why would I put off what I really like to do? I mean, if you have an answer for me, please, by all means, tell me. Help a sister out. Why do I procrastinate? Why am I not just constantly creating anytime I'm able to create? And you know what? I've realized this is an excuse, because if there's something I want in life, and if I really, really want it, there shouldn't be anything to stop me from getting it or going after it. But of course, I kind of chop it up to, I work a 9-to-5 job and I sit there for 8 hours. And during those 8 hours, while I'm doing my regular work, my head is going off with all of these ideas about a script I want to write, about, wanting to connect with people and network, and wanting to collaborate, and wanting to do this and that and the third. And so it's almost like those 8 hours that I'm working at my regular job, I wish I could be using that to just be creative, because to be honest, being an independent creator, it's a lot of freaking work. It is no joke, because when you're creating beats or making logos or just, being pulled in all these different directions to taking all of these different elements that go into one project. Like, for example, this podcast. There's so many things like, I'm creating my own logo, I'm creating my own beat. I'm just all over the place, but it's what I love doing. But when it comes time to me actually recording, I procrastinate, but I'm thinking about it all day in my head. And it's a weird feeling. It's a weird thing. And it gets super overwhelming keeping these ideas in my head. I figured I'm going to be proactive. And instead of keeping all of these ideas in my head and only talking to myself, which I know other people do that as well. They just may not say it out loud. But yeah, we all do it. Don't judge me. And so I do have moments where I am able to talk about my ideas, or, talk about my goals and things I want to do, because I have such supportive family and friends. But I know I tend to, when I get into talking about being creative, or, the little creative things I want to do, I will talk their ear off, and I will talk and talk and talk and talk. And then I just feel like such a jerk, because I know they love me. I know they support me. I know they want me to do well. But at the same time, if it's something you're not super interested in, it's like, someone doesn't want to hear it, doesn't want to hear so much of it. It's kind of like, let's limit it to like, okay, we'll talk about it, change the subject, which I've never felt like anybody's ever acted like that when I talk to them about my ideas and stuff. Which I guess that's a good thing, give or take, but I just know in my head, I'm like, oh my God, I keep talking about, all the little ideas that I want to do, and they're listening and they're interacting with me. And so I'm thinking I should stop talking about it, but I love talking about it. So I'm going to keep talking about it. And then they're just looking at me and they keep interacting. It's just a cycle. And then I go, okay, calm down. You got it out a little bit. Keep it in doses. Don't get too crazy. So that is going to lead me into what is the podcast about. If you've guessed me talking about my journey to being a full-time creator / filmmaker, then you are correct. So I have realized I'm just not one of those people that move in silence. You see all these different pictures that have these sayings on them on social media talking about, move in silence. Don't let people know what you're going to do. Just do it, which I do believe in that as well, because talk is one thing. Action is a whole nother monster. And personally, I go by people's actions versus what they say. So they can say all day till they're blue in the face, who they are, what they're going to do. But until I see action, I don't believe you. And that's just the way I've been, okay? And so I want to be able to utilize this podcast to express my ideas, talk about my creative processes, give tips and tricks as I'm learning or have learned, provide advice, encouragement, support, because a lot of people who are creatives, sometimes they don't get the support that they need. It feels like it's them against the world and no one believes in them. And sometimes you just need to hear some encouraging words, some from someone else's perspective of what they're doing, because a lot of us feel alone in a lot of things that we do. And if you hear someone going through what you're going through, it can definitely help. So it's really to talk about my personal journey and where I'm going and just my thoughts and everything that I'm feeling as I am this part-time creator trying to transition into being a full-time creator, where that is where I'm making my income. And I'm just ready to be successful and get that coin so we can move it on up. To the east side, then the west side, the south side, the north side, then back to the west side. And I really want to add that, well, when I say that I'm expressing my ideas in my creative processes, it's going to be more from the writing aspect, because I am writing scripts. I'm in the process of one right now, but just in the future, as I'm writing my scripts. But of course, I'm not going to give specific details, because I ain't going to share all the little, nits and nats and the paddywhacks, and, we ain't going to be throwing the dog the bone, because I don't need y'all stealing my ideas and then run off to Hollywood, and then you going to make some money off of it. And then you going to leave me like all the mother suckers I done made famous. So as I'm learning to not dwell on what I haven't done, I'll begin to look forward, create my goals, self-motivate, just starting from the bottom and just gradually working my way up. And the great thing about this podcast is I'm documenting my journey as I'm going. And so it's going to be really cool to have something to look back on, to see how far I've come. And if you're living that part-time dreamer life and you need something to keep going, then welcome to your safe place. Feel free to listen, enjoy, be enlightened, laugh, maybe cry, but I don't think we're gonna get that deep, but I don't know, we'll see. To feel encouraged and, like I mentioned before, to feel supported. I know it's so hard being an independent creator. Well, really like a beginning creator. But if this is something you want to do, then all of the restlessness, the disappointments, the rejection, because rejection is definitely in the cards. There's no way around that. But confusion, tears, the ups and downs, it will be so worth it. And I want to wrap up this episode with, I hope you enjoyed this. If you would like, go ahead and rate, subscribe to be notified whenever there is a future episode posted. And if you're feeling really compelled to, go ahead and leave a review. Let me know what you think. But thanks again for listening, and I will talk to you all in the next episode.